What postpartum woman is not dreaming of this thing? Look at that. You are not crazy if you think I'm inconsistent. I sure am, but I'm consistently entertaining. It says for me to punch the dough down. Am I crazy? Is this punchable? This doesn't seem, I'm gonna punch it. All right. Oh no. I got some pepper in my salt, no. Now I don't know what makes the recipe Amish, but I'm not asking any questions. I am so greasy and shiny, like very moisturized. Dang. All right. Starting to get real out here, man. I'm getting terrified. It feels so good to rip this off and throw it in the trash. We're done. Welcome back to the Real Femme Sapien YouTube channel where I do homemaking and cultural commentary. Today we are going to be testing and trying 12 different recipes. I would say 12 meals, but it's actually 12 different recipes for a woman who is very pregnant. I asked her if I could cook for her and do her entire postpartum meal prep for YouTube, and she said yes. How lucky are we? So if you like this content, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell. We have a lot going on today, and I am still not too familiar with how to record this kind of content. So with the angles and the lighting, I would really appreciate your patience, but I think like we're really getting somewhere. Things are looking good. I'm starting to figure it out. So let's start off with this shredded beef sandwiches that I have to make. I have to keep in mind the order and sequence of what I'm making and what is going to be the most time consuming. So we're going to start with that. It's meant for a slow cooker, but I'm going to put it in my Instant Pot. And then after that, we're going to work on some homemade English muffins. I prepared the dough ahead of time, but I have to roll out the dough and cut it and then let it rise for, it's a second rise. Let it do the second rise for an hour and then come back to it and fry it in some butter. I have a recipe for that in the description down below if you're interested in fresh milled flour sourdough English muffins. I do add a little bit of all-purpose flour in mine, so that's going to be in the description, as well as all of the recipes that we are trying today. They'll all be in there. So let's get started with these shredded beef sandwiches. I'm trying to figure out which apron to wear. I like how bright the beige is, but it's very likely to get dirty, but then I like how it'd be very hard for the black one to get dirty. I don't know, I can't pick. We'll start with beige, and then if I get too messy, we'll switch. You're probably watching this and wondering if I sewed this myself. The answer is no, not yet. Sewing is a project that I want to get better at. I've gotten into candle making and bread making, but the sewing is lacking. Hopefully this apron keeps me clean enough. I don't know, because it's kind of low. I don't know if I have figured out how to adjust it. If it was up to me, it'd be like up to my neck, but I'm sure it'll do something. And I'm gonna put my hair up. That way my friend doesn't end up with any of my hair in her food, because that would be disgusting. Also, my hair is at a length that if I don't put it up, it's just gonna end up in someone's food. You know, I'm trying to grow it down to my waist. It's been a lot of fun, and I think I've made some pretty good progress. Okay, let's get started. I'm hoping to keep energy up and not crash and burn, because I've never done anything like this before. I am always trying new things with social media, and if you are a viewer, you might be watching this and thinking, wow, this lady's channel is all over the place. And you would be right, because I am all over the place. I have new interests all the time. I've never been particularly good with niching down. I like to post about the things that I'm enjoying in life, and hopefully other people enjoy it too. So you are not crazy if you think I'm inconsistent. I sure am, but I'm consistently entertaining. So I have all these recipes taped up around so that I don't get lost in the sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and brown the chuck roast in the Instant Pot on the stove. If you are not familiar, you can actually brown things on the stove in this if you want to. I mean, there is, with the newer ones, an even base for heating. Before, this was not the case, so you couldn't have that even temperature throughout the bottom. Basically, if you have an older Instant Pot, that is not going to be a good option for you. But if you've got one of the newer ones, you should be good. So this is a 2-pound chuck roast, but the recipe calls for 3 to 4 pounds. This one is a little bit closer, somewhere between 3.5 and 4 pounds once we add them together. Since these are both small, I don't think I need to trim them. I am just gonna season them with salt, pepper, and garlic and brown them on the stove. And when it says garlic, it's garlic powder. Oh no. You got some pepper in my salt. No. No. Pop, pop, pop. I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons of butter. That's going right in here for me to brown these chuck roasts. I'm very happy that it's room temperature butter. Okay, so while that is going, I'm gonna get around to slicing some onions. Ideally, I would slice all the onions for all the recipes all at once, but it's really hard for me to keep track of quantities. Like if it was my food, I would be eyeballing everything, but because it's not my food and it's for a friend, I don't want to do that. I'm just peeling some garlic by hand. There are faster ways to peel garlic. I am just not gonna pull out another gadget for that at the moment. I'm just kidding, I probably will pull it out. It's starting to get on my nerves. They sell these silicone tubes that you can roll garlic in, and then the garlic skin will stick to it. This is after some guy named Kabi's Casa. Honestly, I think he's an African chef that goes viral all the time for showing people how to do things more simply. I'm not sure, you guys can let me know in the comment section down below, but we have his little garlic peeling situation. Behind me, the stove starting to be hot enough for me to start searing the chuck roast for the shredded beef. I'm gonna put them in there one at a time. If you're ever trying to get through a layer of onion, you slice it on the side and you just peel it all off. And that should get you more to like a cleaner section. This is me slicing the onion for the shredded beef. It specifically calls for slices. I honestly don't work with onions a ton because my husband has a sugar intolerance, so he cannot have certain vegetables that caramelize. But when a recipe, normally in our house, when a recipe calls for onions, I use onion powder because there's something about it where it doesn't caramelize at all, and that's how I get around it. 1 tablespoon of onion powder is actually 1 onion. We have one side browned for the shredded beef sandwiches. You might be wondering, Allie, I didn't see you rinse any of your vegetables. First of all, they are going to be cooked, so even if I never rinse them, it would be fine. But I am getting ready to rinse them anyway because I want to make sure that there's no dirt in the food. Which, I mean, I kind of guess, like, if a little bit of dirt got in there, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. But I don't want to do that to my friend. That's crazy. You know, and I don't think this is the kind of knife that is made for mincing. This is very awkward. I have a proper chiffonade knife somewhere. This is not ergonomic. I kind of wonder what it's for. Let me read it to you guys. What does it say? It says German Simov steel, ice hardened and glass finish. Well, that tells me nothing. Here's the shape of the knife. I don't think it's that great for mincing. Pretty sure I can fit the second one in there now. There are a couple of other things that this recipe calls for that I'm just gonna get put together as well. So I need a tablespoon of steak seasoning. It says to use Montreal, but I have McCormick Perfect Pinch on hand, so that's what I'm gonna use. This is gonna be the 1.5 cup of beef broth. I'm gonna save some of this for later in case another recipe calls for beef broth. There's only one more side left for the browning, and then we will be done with that. It smells really good in here. This recipe calls for steak sauce, which I have noticed cooking for a lot of my friends who are pregnant or about to be postpartum. There's a couple of really good recipes that ask for steak sauce. Now, I haven't used steak sauce for many years, but back in the day when I used to, it was A1 steak sauce. And it has proven to still be delicious and to stand the test of time. So we're good here. There's the vegetables and the liquid and the seasonings and the chuck roast and the Instant Pot, and we're almost ready to turn it on. Because this recipe is meant for a slow cooker and not an Instant Pot, but I'm using an Instant Pot, I looked it up on ChatGPT to convert it. I am not a homemaker that's against AI. Like, I'm sorry, I wish I could be, but I'm not. I think it's something that we can't avoid confronting. It's made my life a lot easier when it comes to homemaking, and I think a lot of people just haven't processed psychologically how to use this particular technology for their own advantage. And I understand if you want to maintain your privacy and live off the grid and like all the things. I support that. I think you should have the right to do that. However, I think our phones are watching us all the time. And also, I already worked for the federal government and they have a lot of information on me. So it's over for me. But if you want to be off grid, I support you. That's good. Perfect. So I wanted that browned, not charred. It was getting kind of on the edge there. So I just threw it in the crock pot with all the other ingredients. And we're gonna put this on high for 70 minutes instead of putting it in a slow cooker for 6 to 8 hours. Either way works fine. I have seen success with both methods. I'm not gonna knock a slow cooker, but also if you don't own an Instant Pot, I think you should get one. Now let's get to go in with these English muffins. I am gonna wipe this down with some water, and then I'm gonna come in with some sanitizer, and then I'm gonna wipe it again with water. That way the sanitizer doesn't really come through into the English muffins. This is just flour that I'm gonna throw down to dust my countertop so I can work on this. This is parchment paper that I'm gonna put cornmeal on top of after I finish cutting my English muffins. I'll try to keep it within frame a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. It's where stuff starts to get chaotic when you're working on multiple things at once. Really what I'm looking for here is to be able to cut at least 12 circles with this English muffin dough. And I don't have a proper biscuit cutter. It's kind of on the wish list. I have egg rings that you can cook perfect circular eggs with it, and I just push down with it and it seems to work out pretty good. This looks like 12. I think I can do 12 with this. This is just regular schmegular cornmeal that you sprinkle down so it doesn't stick. When it comes to English muffins, I do them with sourdough. So it's just starter, all-purpose flour, milk, and honey. This is what I meant by this is an egg ring. That's what I use for this. And then when these are fried, I fry them in butter. When you fry them, you want to fry them as low of a temperature as you can tolerate. Low and slow is better than fast and burned when it comes to English muffins. Sometimes they get kind of hard to lift up off the counter, and in that case I have to try to use one of my spatulas to get to it. Like I always hope that I dust down the counters enough, but sometimes, no matter how hard I try, it happens anyway. And you know, you'll end up with some imperfections, but that's kind of what happens when you're making homemade English muffins. You just own it. I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand about making things homemade. Even if it's clothes, it doesn't have to be a food thing. If you're making clothes yourself without like an industrial product assembly, then there's going to be imperfections, and that doesn't mean that your clothes are bad. It means that your clothes are homemade, because if you are a woman, you know that if you've gotten anything altered, which I highly recommend you do, get your favorite pieces of clothing and get them altered so that it's the most flattering for your physique. It makes a huge difference, but you'll know that if you've ever gotten something altered, it's not perfect. And it's because you hired a human to tailor that clothing specific and unique to your body. Yay, the Instant Pot is on. No pun intended, but the pressure is on. Also, if you're watching and you're wondering, why does she have such a serious face? I gotta tell you guys, I have resting business face. I can't do anything about it. Part of me wonders if it's genetic because I come from a long line of women with resting business face, if you know what I mean. And I have just accepted that this is part of my life. Okay, so we're gonna be on my Sony ZV-1 probably for the rest of this vlog. I ran out of memory on my iPhone and I love recording on my iPhone, but I cannot figure out how to get more memory on this thing. That thing, I wonder if it's because I need to get like an external memory attachment, which I'm totally open to. It looks like we're gonna have some extra English muffins. In the background, I do have both of my ovens. I have a top oven and a bottom oven. I have both of them set to 200 because we're gonna end up using them a lot more later. The goal is to do the first half of the breakfast recipes, and then the second half of the recipes that we're gonna do are going to be the dinner ones. That's funny. Let me see if I can do it again. Here you guys can see them. Look at how nice they are. When you're done shaping them and cutting them, you sprinkle them with cornmeal, and then you put a tea towel on top. I have a regular hand towel because I just have so many of these things. And yeah, you leave it alone for like an hour, and then you're gonna come back, fry them in butter on low. This is my baking timer that I'm setting. I'll put a link for this in the description down below for you guys. The thing is, when you're cooking a lot, you think you have enough timers just on the devices like the oven and the microwave, and that's not true. And at some point it's gonna get you, and then you will be compelled to buy a regular timer like our grandmas used to have. We're gonna move on to sausage croissant breakfast sandwiches. It's gonna make 12 of them. They look like they're gonna be so good. Basically, it's cooking a bunch of sausage into 12 equal patties, and you're gonna fry it in a large skillet over medium heat. That's pretty much it. And then you're gonna make eggs, sausage, egg, cheese, sauce, put it in a sandwich, wrap all of them, and that is it for those. We have 3 pounds of breakfast sausage. I'm gonna take each log, I'm gonna cut it into 4 because the goal is to have 12 of these sandwiches. And then I am going to cook the eggs with the yolk broken. That way the yolk isn't, I don't know, weird in the freezer. I have meal prepped breakfast sandwiches many, many times, and I just don't see that it would be helpful to have a soft yolk. Maybe that's just me, maybe I'm making things up. You guys let me know in the comment section down below. Let's get into it. I think these are gonna be really thick patties, which good for my friend because she is gonna need the protein. Gotta flatten them a little bit because the croissants are actually quite large, right? So if the croissant is large and patties tend to shrink, then if I do them like hamburger thickness, should be good. I guess while I'm doing this, I can talk to you guys about some of the changes in the kitchen, because I'm sure you've noticed that there have been changes. But one thing I wanted to point out to you guys is something that's super underrated when it comes to home decor, and that is switch plates and outlet plates. So like outlet covers, light switch covers, you can take those down and spray paint them if you want to change the look of a room. And it really changed how my kitchen looks, but I've done it in a few different places in my house. But it's just one of those details that gets overlooked. And then if you are the kind of person who doesn't overlook them, then everyone's very impressed when you have a very harmonious, beautiful outlet cover that pulls the whole room together. I have this press that I'm gonna use for my sausage. While the patties are cooking, I'm gonna start dicing some bacon for a future recipe that we're gonna do. That is an Amish breakfast casserole. Now, I don't know what makes the recipe Amish, but I'm not asking any questions. I need 1 pound of bacon, but I have 12 ounces, so I need 4 more ounces of bacon. Okay, that's a little over 1 pound of bacon. think it's so funny, all these meal prepping videos that are on YouTube. I mean, I watch them all the time to get motivation, but they make it look so easy. Let me tell you, it is not. I mean, you know, there's obviously harder work out there than cooking. Well, maybe not, because I'm sure Michelin chefs would disagree with me. But I'm telling you, like having the timing and the pace and the procedure and being methodical, that's my real challenge. Like being an organized thinker as I go through this, as I dice bacon for recipe number 4, while the sausage for recipe number 2 is cooking, while recipe number 7 is in the Instant Pot, while the English muffins for recipe number 3 are rising. I'm trying to go through and kind of make sure that things are actually diced, because they can look a certain way, but they might not be. But this is gonna cook up so fast. Like that is the instant gratification that I'm looking forward to. I think the sausage patties are getting to a place where they might be done. Kind of depends. I really reduced the heat because I did not want them to char. You know, and everyone's different with the degree of doneness that they want with their meats, or, I mean, even baked things. I really like a dark English muffin, but a lot of people would hate that. So I have this bacon ready to go. I'm gonna fry it in another skillet because that'll cook up really fast. And then I'm gonna set it to the side for when I eventually get to the rest of the Amish casserole. All right, we're gonna take our chances with these eggs. I'm a little bit nervous about the eggs. I'm gonna do them one at a time because it's really hard to get them to not stick in stainless steel. We're gonna see how it goes. I have algae oil that I have in the bottom there. Hopefully that's gonna help me with my egg situation. I'm getting all this diced bacon in the frying pan. I'm probably not gonna save the bacon grease from that because I already have bacon grease that I saved from another recipe last night. Let me see if I can bring you guys in closer on the action so you can see what's going on. Dang. All right. Starting to get real out here, man. I'm getting terrified. Okay. Things are going okay. They're just like really loud and exciting. This is the last of the sausage patties, which praise the Lord. I've been cooking those for a while, man. Okay, let me see how this one is going. That one is going good. Woo. Okay. Let me see how this egg is doing. I'm gonna get a plate for my eggs. I have a lot of eggs I have to make today, so that's why I'm like kind of being, you know, specific about how to fry them. Looks good. Put this guy over here. I wonder how many home cooks are watching this right now and are like, wow, like I know exactly how to make this better. Or how many are looking at this like, wow, that is really hard. If you know how to make things better, please let me know in the comment section down below. Like I always want to hear what you guys have to say. Nope, that was not ready. That was not ready. Ah! I am so greasy and shiny, like very moisturized. All right, the bacon is ready to get drained. So we're gonna do that. Okay, so it's turning out pretty good. I'm gonna leave this underneath the recipe. That way I know that it goes together, because that's why they're all taped up. I don't know if you can see, but I have them taped all around the kitchen. I have to do a little bit of a reset before I can move forward because there's just way too much. All right, we're getting to a good reset point here, which is making me very happy. It's already noon. I like to think I'm making progress. We'll find out if it's gonna take me, you know, like 2 days to cook this stuff. I don't think it will, but we'll find out together. I think what I'm gonna end up doing, the Instant Pot is done. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is cooking the eggs and the forms in a bunch of little stainless steel frying pans, because it is just really hard to cook eggs in stainless steel without the sticking and all that. So that's my plan, is to have them on a couple of different burners, because I have to make 24 eggs like that. So I'm gonna try to do 2 burners with eggs while I'm working on the English muffins over here. This, I mean, it's already pretty hot, but I'm gonna put it on 3 with 2 tablespoons of butter for 2 rounds. Then I'll, you know, reset it, put new butter because I don't want the milk solids to burn. And then I'm gonna put it in a new batch of the English muffins. And then over here, we're gonna have some of the eggs going. I only need to make about 16 English muffins, I believe. And then I have 22 eggs left to do. All right, that's probably ready. Yikes. I will not be giving that one to my friend, but I'll probably eat that one. I always forget that the one in the middle cooks the fastest. I've done this so many times. Right now I'm gonna reset a couple of things like these English muffins. I'm gonna flip this middle English muffin because this is the one that always gets me, I'm telling you. Because it's in the center of the burner. I think that's why. Okay, we're gonna work on shredding this beef so we can assemble the sandwiches later on in the day. But it really is pulling apart. I did this for 1 hour and 10 minutes and then I let it naturally depressurize. Or I accidentally let it naturally depressurize. It was recommended anyway, but I was busy doing other things, so I'm just gonna pull it apart. And these are the English muffins we were working on earlier. These are sourdough, but I used regular all-purpose flour. For the Tatertot casserole, I'm gonna start browning 2 pounds of ground beef. Okay, I'm gonna slice these English muffins in half for when I have to prep the sandwiches later. Look at how pretty and spherical this egg is. This is the magic of algae oil and stainless steel. I am laying out these eggs so that I can count them. I need a total of 24, but I think I'm getting closer and closer to being able to make these Egg McMuffins. I'm gonna start slicing this cheddar for these Egg McMuffins. I've made these for myself before where I didn't have pre-sliced cheddar and I just cut the block in half and cut my slices like that, and I'll put 1 or 2 squares in each sandwich and it turns out great. We're ready to assemble the bacon, egg, and cheese McMuffins. If you can call them that, I feel like it doesn't count if it's not from McDonald's. But I pre-cooked bacon yesterday in this device. This is something that you put in the microwave and the drippings fall to the bottom and it makes it leaner. But I mean, yeah, you're gonna leach plastic into your food, but I just haven't found a better way. Like I really like this thing and I can never be zero plastic. So maybe one day. This is the bacon that I pre-cooked on there. I like it to be on the crispier side and I hope my friend does too. But the moisture from reheating the sandwich should rehydrate this a little bit. Try to make this one pretty for you guys to take a look at. Here you go. Here's a homemade sourdough English muffin, postpartum egg McMuffin. I'm getting ready to reset this for some other sandwiches for breakfast that I'm gonna assemble. These are gonna be the sausage croissant sandwiches. I browned and drained the 2 pounds of ground beef from earlier. This is gonna be for a Tatertot casserole. There's lots of casseroles. I think it's pretty typical for the Midwest, but certainly typical for postpartum meal prep because you just like to put things in the oven, not worry about it, pull it out, unwind, not think about it. I'm starting to get tired. So I have my Celsius drink here. Also, my husband is helping me, so he's there. But really, he's just the stainless steel egg expert. He's taught me everything I know so far. Actually, my husband is stainless steel obsessed and teaches my girlfriends how to use stainless steel. Like we go over and he gives them the rundown and they walk away with a new skill and it's just so much fun. That is so good. Look at this. What postpartum woman is not dreaming of this thing? Look at that. My God, what? That's crazy. I want that, but I already ate today. I don't even know how to wrap it. It's so, it's so massive. What do I do? We finally finished a recipe. Yay. I took a little break to reset my mind and also my kitchen, and I'm getting ready to get back into it. I'm about done with breakfast sandwiches. These are the last 2 of the 24 breakfast sandwiches that I am doing for my friend, and then I'm gonna move on to the breakfast casseroles and then more to dinner items. I made a protein matcha to sustain me because this is actually a lot of work. Like, it's not terrible, it's fun. So we got some new bacon to finish off these bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwiches. I don't know if I showed you guys already, but these things are fun and yummy. This was actually something I did for myself when I meal prepped for the last time I was postpartum. I highly recommend breakfast sandwiches. I'm a breakfast person. I gotta let you guys know this. I don't see the point of breakfast, well, no, I don't see the point of lunch or dinner. I only see the point of breakfast. I feel like all the other meals are optional and we might be wasting our time with them because really, what's the problem with having pancakes, bacon, and eggs for dinner? But for some reason, it's not dinner food. It's all I want to eat. This is a wrap for the breakfast sandwiches. I have the rest of them in the freezer. I am just putting this bacon away to store for some other day. I usually wait until the grease cools so I can scrape it into my trash can. In the very beginning of this cooking day, I started some shredded beef sandwiches in the Instant Pot. They are done. I was able to shred the beef, and what I'm gonna do now is I am gonna take all of it, put it in a large half-gallon jar, put it in the fridge to cool. Once it's cool, I'm gonna transfer it to gallon freezer bags and then lay them flat and put them in the freezer. All right, let's get this shredded beef put away. It'd be kind of hard to get all of this through the funnel. I just break it off into chunks. That way you can all get in there. It's actually turned out really good. but I could see how it's the kind of meal that you want your condiments and add-ins with. Because the beef by itself, like, it's good, but it's very savory. And so the chipotle aioli and the fried onions and the onion buns, like, they have to really elevate the whole experience. Like, I could see myself loving the whole sandwich, but just the meat, it's gonna be a no from me on that. All right, another meal is done. We're done with 3 of them. I have a basket here for the extra ingredients that I am not using or that need to go back to my friend. So that's what I'm doing right now. This will be all the uncooked, dry things. Bacon, egg, and cheese English muffins are done. Let's move on to this Amish breakfast casserole. This is gonna be that diced bacon, 1 pound of sliced bacon, diced, 1 medium sweet onion chopped, 1 red pepper chopped, 6 eggs lightly beaten, 4 cups frozen shredded hash brown potatoes, 2 cups shredded cheddar cheese, 1.5 cups of small curd cottage cheese, and 1.25 cup of shredded Swiss cheese. So this is the next item. I'm going to increase the temperature of my oven. I had it at 200 all day for when I got to this point, but the top one, I'm gonna put it on convection bake to 350. We have our hash browns. We're gonna go back to the stove. We're gonna use some bacon grease and we're gonna cook up the onions and pepper that I'm about to chop up. I'm gonna get this chopped and then I'm going to take it to get rinsed. I really do not like chopping anything manually. I don't know if that's like a me thing, if I'm a spoiled American. I have no clue. But I really prefer whatever kind of veggie chopping contraption I can use instead. And I have one. It's the OXO brand. It's going to be this guy. And this grid is big enough that that seems more chopped than diced to me. You just lay these items in and you push down on it and it sends them all the way through. Okay, when it comes to onions, if you're using a veggie chopper because you hate chopping anything like me, there is an orientation that you have to do. You want to make sure that this is the top and this is the bottom, and you cut it in half and you put it in like that, because if you do it the other way, right, like if the top and the bottom were not facing, we're oriented toward the top and the bottom here, then you would be making these really long tubes instead of having a proper chopped onion. All right, so these are our chopped vegetables. I'll take them to get rinsed and we'll start shredding some cheese. The OXO chopper is fun. If you can remember, it has a hole in the back, so you just dump it. I did not remember, so I have all these diced veggies on my cutting board. This one's a really great veggie chopper. I've had a Cuisinart one and not as much of a fan, but if you look at this one, it also has this situation to pull down, because things get stuck in there and they're really annoying to clean out if you are the kind of person who likes to use a chopping gadget of any sort. So let's rinse these. In this skillet here, I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons of bacon grease that I saved from yesterday when I made all that bacon. So there's the 1, here's the 2, and we're gonna cook these vegetables for the casserole. This bacon's a little bit on the crispier side of things, so toward the end, I'm going to put this in there just to get it incorporated and mixed well. While this is going, we're gonna start assembling the casserole a little bit. In a 13 by 9, we need to put 4 cups of frozen shredded hash browns that have been thawed. Let's do it. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we're gonna beat 6 eggs. Back over here we have these vegetables that are about ready to also go into that mixture, but I'm gonna let them cool down until they're warm. That way it doesn't cook any of the eggs that I have in the casserole so far. And I'm going to take it off the burner because I have an electric stove. Back over here, we have got to get to shredding some cheese, and I have a gadget for that. Hopefully it works because it's on its way to the great beyond, and I don't know how much longer it's gonna last. It's called a Presto salad shooter. This thing is my best friend, and I'm so sad that I'm having to move on to bigger and better things. So yes, Presto salad shooter. That's usually how I shred my cheese. Some cheddar, we're gonna put it in the casserole. The recipe calls for 2 cups, and then we're gonna move on to shredding some Swiss cheese. Cup of Swiss. Here's the 1/4 cup. I'm just gonna get this mixed up and incorporate it a little bit better. Make this a little more even. This is ready to go in the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. My oven with the convection bake, it cooks a little bit faster, so I'm definitely gonna do this for 32 minutes and check on it. This is actively in the oven, so we're just gonna put that there to keep track of it. We're gonna move on to another breakfast casserole that I have going on over here. This is gonna be the one that's using the 2 pounds of ground beef, and praise the Lord, the ground beef was not seasoned. I guess because all the other seasonings come together, so you don't really need to do that, which is amazing. Okay, we're on the Tatertot Casserole right now, and it calls for 32 ounces of tater tots, which we have. It's actually so much, that's 2 pounds. I'm gonna preheat the bottom oven to 350. I need to mince 1 garlic clove, and I need to dice 1 onion. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this diced onion and minced garlic in here. We're gonna turn this heat down, and we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Seems like the kind of thing I have to pay really close attention to. I'm gonna do a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then we're supposed to do a 1/4 cup of milk. Actually, it's supposed to be 1/2 cup of milk, so let me add in another 1/4 here. And then it's supposed to be 1/2 cup of beef broth. Now we're gonna stir in the ground beef that we browned earlier. We also have some frozen vegetables that we need to mix in here. We need a cup of frozen veggies. Somewhere in this recipe, I need a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, but it doesn't have it in the instructions. So I am just gonna add it in here and see what happens. All right, the first breakfast casserole is done and it actually looks so good. Like, that's amazing. Let me see if I can get you guys a better POV. That looks so good. Okay, we're back to the Tatertot casserole with 8 ounces of cheddar, which needs to be laid out in a layer. And then after that, we put the tater tots on top, but they're supposed to be frozen. Okay, let's get this Tatertot casserole in the oven. All right, let me zoom you guys out. Okay, my kitchen is trashed, so I need to reset it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to think and actually get these things done in a time-effective fashion. Okay, I think I was able to reset my kitchen enough to show you guys this next one. Hello. It's very anticlimactic. I feel like it's not brown enough. My kitchen is reset and I feel like I can breathe. Okay, let's get this Amish breakfast casserole wrapped, labeled, and we're gonna move on to another recipe. Also, it feels so good to rip this off and throw it in the trash. We're done. The Tatertot casserole is about to be done. Let's see, what should we do next? Let's do the high protein baked egg bowls next. That'll be a good one. The Tatertot casserole is getting a little bit more golden how I would like it. I probably need more aesthetic oven mitts, but let's go take a look at what we have. All right, this is more golden than before. It's not too crispy. Okay, look at this. Very hot. I'll get you guys a better POV in a second. Woohoo! Nice. So the high protein baked egg bowls, it's like you were supposed to put everything in 4 oven safe bowls, which, what does that even mean? I don't know, like maybe the stoneware bowls that I do not own. So what I'm gonna do, because this is gonna be a postpartum woman with 5 children and a husband. So I think if I just make this egg bowl and I put it all in here, that should work very well. By the way, since the Tatertot casserole recipe is done, we can get rid of it. We need 1.5 cups of egg whites. Now we need 1 cup of cottage cheese. And for this recipe, I'm gonna use my immersion blender. I need 6 eggs, so I'll be right back. I'm just gonna triple check that I did not leave any shells. Perfect. Yeah, you gotta like put the egg back together to see if it's seamless. It's so funny. Alrighty, I need to chop about 1 cup of baby spinach, but some other recipes also call for spinach. So I'm gonna leave this cutting board and the spinach out. This is the knife that I prefer for cutting anything, really. All right, this is pretty good. So on the bottom of the bowl, we do the spinach. Remember, we're not gonna do any bowls. We're like just gonna pour everything on top here. Now we're gonna do bell peppers and sausage. We need 1/2 of a small red bell pepper, and this is gonna be diced. We'll put this right in here. Might break some of these up by hand. Seem kind of big. I already sliced up some of this breakfast sausage yesterday. It only called for 8 links, but when you're postpartum, you need a bunch of protein, so I just cut up the whole package, because why not? We need a 1/4 teaspoon of some kind of salt, pepper, garlic seasoning, so that's what I'm tossing on right here. We're gonna pour all of these eggs right in here. I think that's as far as we can go, and then we're gonna top it with cheese and chives. Okay, we are about ready to get this one in the oven, but it has to get in the oven covered, and I'm gonna put a dish underneath it because supposedly the eggs puff up high and kind of ooze, and I just don't want to mess up my oven. So anyway, this is the last step, is putting 2 tablespoons of chopped chives or green onions. I have green onions that I chopped and washed. So for the first 20 minutes, it's gonna be covered, and then the last 20 minutes, it's not going to be covered. We're finally at our last breakfast recipe, and then I think things are gonna go a lot quicker because some of the dinner recipes I pre-chopped the vegetables, but we're gonna move on to the breakfast quesadillas. This recipe calls for 6 slices of bacon, but chopped, and I normally just use my kitchen shears to chop bacon. I chop a lot of bacon because I have small kids, so I think this works about the same. Over here, I'm cooking up the bacon a little bit so that I can throw some eggs in here for these breakfast quesadillas, and this is the last breakfast dish. We're gonna put in 6 eggs here. I swore this is supposed to make 4 nice quesadillas. Like, I really think I can only make 2. Good morning and welcome back to my kitchen. We got through all the breakfast items yesterday. I thought I could get it all done in one day, and I was sorely mistaken, especially for it being my first time doing a cooking marathon. But let's go through some of the recipes that we finished so we can see where we're at. Today, it seems like we've got 5 recipes are hanging up in my kitchen. We got through the sausage croissant breakfast sandwiches, the bacon English muffin breakfast sandwiches, the Amish breakfast casserole, the breakfast quesadillas, the high protein baked egg bowl. We also did a non-breakfast item, which is shredded beef sandwiches. Back to maybe breakfast, maybe lunch, we did a Tatertot casserole, and today we're focusing on the rest of these recipes. But before we do that, let's talk about today's video sponsor, Lifebasis. If you are a homemaker in 2026, there is hardly any reason at all that you would have to scrub anything by hand, manually, unless the power grid goes down. This device is amazing. There are several attachments. There's scrubbing attachments and polishing attachments. If you have a glass stovetop, you'll really enjoy the polishing attachments. I like to use it with a serum oxide. This scrubber is going to be linked in the description down below for you guys. It has a waterproof rating of IPX7. I highly recommend the Lifebasis electronic scrubber to all of you. You can see the demo of my glass cooktop on the screen. Now let's get back to the video. We are gonna start with the Italian wedding soup with turkey meatballs. We'll get the soup going in an Instant Pot and we'll do the meatballs in the oven. I don't know which one is gonna be first. We'll see where the spirit moves me, but we're gonna get the job done. We're gonna start with the meatballs because that sounds like fun, and that calls for 2 pounds of turkey. And this is the knife that I hate yet again. I need to ask if I can throw this thing away. I just don't understand what that shape is for. If you all know what that shape is ergonomically suited for, please let me know in the comment section. Like, I've got to find out. Also, I have to say the plastic on this ground turkey sausage is insanely durable. Wow. We need 1 cup of breadcrumbs, 1 grated onion. I did this ahead of time, specifically for this recipe. A 1/2 cup of Parmesan, 2 large eggs. We need an 1/8 cup of olive oil, 1/4 cup of milk, 1½ teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/2 cup of parsley, a 1/2 cup of basil. Here you just use your hands to make meatballs, or at least I do. I don't know what other people are doing, but this has always resulted in a really nice incorporation for me. Alrighty, this seems really well incorporated now. For these meatballs, I have a pretty big cookie scoop, and this is an Italian wedding soup, so I'm actually gonna use the cookie scoop to make 2 meatballs. I'll get the batter, divide it in half, roll it up, and then start putting it on this pan, but I'm gonna line it with parchment paper. This is the second set of meatballs. So all the meatballs are formed. It's just a matter of getting them in the oven, both ovens, rotating them, and getting the soup started in the Instant Pot. Because my friend is going to be using this soup as a freezer meal, I'm actually not gonna make the pasta. I could make the pasta and undercook it by a few minutes and store it like that, but that's really iffy. Besides, it's orzo, so it's really small pieces of pasta. So we're just gonna leave that dry, and we're gonna do the soup base in here. And that should only, once everything is in here, should only take a few minutes because it's an Instant Pot. It does great things very quickly. These are the meatballs that we had in the oven. I did it at 375 degrees for 15 minutes. I'm gonna take one of the biggest ones and cut through the inside to make sure it's done. Yep, that's the inside. It's really good. I haven't been taste testing these recipes too much because I don't wanna eat my friend's food, but I think I'm entitled to a meatball. Wow, this is really good. I'm the kind of person, I could eat meatballs without sauce because it's like a quick protein hit with like the right amount of carbs. I've never seen a meatball that had too many carbs because at that point, like what is that, like a croquette? Anyway, these are amazing. I'm gonna let these cool down as well as the other 2 batches, and once they are all cool, I'm gonna put them in gallon freezer bags to store for my friend. For the soup base, I already pre-chopped the veggies. This is 1 medium onion, 2 medium carrots, and 2 large celery ribs. You guys ready for that instant gratification? Amazing. We need 2½ cartons of chicken stock, which is 10 cups. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. We're gonna put the rest of this Parmesan in here. The recipe calls for Pecorino Romano. However, Parmesan is all I had, and it's the best substitute for Pecorino Romano. There's probably an Italian watching this thinking that I'm absolutely insane. They're probably right. And I said I was gonna use the rest of the container, but I did not realize that this is way more than 1/2 cup, and that's what the recipe's calling for. We need 1/4 cup of olive oil. We need 2 bunches of spinach in here, but because this is an Instant Pot and it cooks everything very quickly, I am gonna let this come to pressure. I'm gonna set it for 4 minutes because I mean, it's pretty effective when it's just vegetables and just stock. So 4 minutes, it'll take maybe 15 to 25 minutes to get hot and come to pressure. And while that's going, I'm gonna chop up the 2 bunches of spinach. Then this will be hot. Then, once it's done, I'm gonna let the pressure release manually, and then I'm gonna toss in the spinach and put the lid on. Really quickly though, I'm gonna give this a little whisk. That way the Parmesan can be a little more evenly incorporated. This could be totally unnecessary once it's put to pressure. I'm not really sure. For those of you that are watching, you can make 1-minute rice in your Instant Pot. However, when I say 1 minute, it's not actually 1 minute. It takes time to heat up, then it takes time for that quick pressure cook, and then you wanna let it naturally release for 15 minutes. Often, if you release it sooner, or if you open the lid sooner, your rice is not gonna be cooked all the way. However, that's just a setting that I really enjoy. Like this thing can do a ton of stuff. I have done yogurt in this as well. I highly recommend. I'm gonna take this entire container of spinach and chop it up. I am roughly chopping this because the recipe did not say to chop the spinach, but I'm a little bit nervous that that is a mistake or some kind of typo. So I'm chopping it anyway. I'm just gonna leave it in a bigger chop than I normally would. Now we're gonna start working on the stuffed pepper soup because that is something I can have simmering on the stove for quite some time while I work on many other things. For this, I have to heat up a tablespoon of olive oil on medium heat. So that's what I'm gonna do. And this is to cook that ground beef in it. It's just about a pound of ground beef, and the Instant Pot is almost ready for me to throw that spinach in there. For this stuffed pepper soup, I have to start dicing an onion, a red pepper, and a green pepper. It says 1 cup each, but I'm fairly certain that 1 cup is more along the lines of 1 whole bell pepper. This is why I love this thing. Look at that. Look at that. If you're new to the video or to the channel, I tend to rinse my vegetables after they're chopped. Okay, I diced up 2 cloves of garlic for the bell pepper soup, and this is the spinach that I'm getting ready to dump into the Instant Pot to finish off the Italian wedding soup. The Instant Pot is off, and I am just putting this in there. And I might put the lid on, or I might leave it open because I don't want it to get soggy. I think I want the carrots to cook a little longer, so I'm just gonna put this lid on and it'll come to pressure again anyway. And I'm just gonna let it sit and hang out for a little bit. The ground beef is almost done browning, and I'm gonna try to drain the fat, but this was a very lean portion already, so I don't actually think there is any to drain. The recipe asks you to, and to put some paper towels underneath, but I think my friend got a lean package. Here are the rest of the meatballs from the Italian wedding soup that need to be frozen. Okay, let's check in on this Italian wedding soup. This is how it turned out so far, and of course you would eat this with ancini di pepe. I think that's what the noodle is called. Or orzo. My friend's gonna do orzo and the meatballs. This looks great. I'm gonna start scooping out this ground beef. We're gonna get this heat back on, and we're gonna toss in the peppers, the onion, and then after that has got a little bit of scent to it, I'm gonna add in the garlic. I'm gonna add in another tablespoon of olive oil. Now we're going to add in our 2 cloves of minced garlic. Some of these onions seem a little bit chunkier than I would like. Now we're going to add in 2 cans of petite diced tomatoes. 1 can of tomato sauce. We need 14.5 ounces of beef broth. This is a little bit less, but not by much. But to make up for it, I'm gonna add in a little bit of beef bouillon and some water. We're gonna add in half a teaspoon of dried basil and half a teaspoon of dried oregano. This says salt and pepper to taste. And I don't know what my friend's palate is. I'm gonna put a 1/4 teaspoon of some salt. This is 2.5 tablespoons of parsley. And we're gonna put the cooked beef in here. I am so close to taking a break. We have 3 recipes left. It's gonna be rolls, the chicken fajitas, and the Philly cheesesteaks. And I'm gonna put away the Italian wedding soup base. That way I can put it in the fridge to cool down so I can put it in freezer bags later. The stuffed pepper soup is done. I'll give you guys a nice POV shortly, but I'm gonna take a break first and make a protein matcha that I really like. I gave up coffee and sugar for Lent. So ordinarily when I make my matcha, I like to use honey, but I'm not gonna be using honey this time. Also, normally when I make my coffees, I like to do bone broth protein lattes, and those are linked in the description down below. You can find them on my blog. I have a blog on Substack, so it's a little bit different than a traditional recipe writing website. If you're already on Substack, then you'll like getting my recipes that way. But let's do this little reset so I can be cozy and comfy and enjoy myself. Ordinarily, I would put 2 cups of 2% milk for a protein focus, but I don't have 2% right now, so I'm gonna do whole milk. I'm gonna heat this up in the microwave for 2 minutes. I have to put the steak in the freezer for the Philly cheesesteaks in order to slice it. So I'm gonna do that now while that's microwaving. I don't do exact measurements for most of these things except for the protein scoop, but this is the matcha. It's Carrington Farms organic matcha powder. You can get this at Walmart now. You couldn't always. There used to be only matcha powders that had additional sweeteners. And then I have my organic vanilla extract from Azure Standard. I actually just put together 8 ounces of vanilla extract to let it ferment, I think it's called, or like steep for 6 weeks, that I'm looking forward to using in the future because I've been wanting to make my own vanilla. If you're gonna make anything with matcha, you wanna use an immersion blender or one of those electric whisks, but I'm gonna be honest, I think the immersion blender is better than the skinnier whisk situation. Ideally, you would take this and tap it through a mesh strainer or something to sift it with, but I'm not gonna do all that. I'm just gonna let my machines do the work for me. Here is that splash of vanilla that I was talking about. I mean, kind of a big splash, maybe. I'm gonna get about a tablespoon of matcha in here. I don't know if that's the right ratio. I just like this. I'm gonna blend this and then I'm gonna do the protein powder and then blend that. Here's that protein powder I was talking about. You can drink it hot or you can put it over ice. I'm a little bit indifferent in that regard. I'll drink it hot or iced. I think lately I've been preferring it hot. That is a matcha protein latte. Before I take my break, let's take a look at this stuffed pepper soup. Look at that. That smells amazing. That's good, very good. I do miss coffee and sweets. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, but I have a real problem with a sweet tooth. I had to give them up. And honestly, it's made cravings go down considerably. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna go take my break and then I'm gonna do the chicken fajitas, Philly cheesesteak, and some rolls. And while the rolls are in the oven or developing, we're gonna start packing these items up for my friend. Okay, I took a longer break than I thought I would, but I feel like I deserved it. Okay, so we have the last 3 recipes. Let's start with the dinner rolls. I thought they were gonna be the last thing that we do, but my handy dandy AI assistant, ChatGPT, was telling me that I should do the rolls first. That way they can rise while I'm working on the other 2 meals. Let's jump into it. We're gonna do a half cup of water, 1 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast, 3.5 to 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, and egg wash. We're gonna warm up a cup of milk and half a cup of water, which is what is in here. Normally with this kind of thing, I just put it in the microwave for a minute. It's telling me to heat it up to 110 degrees. As someone who bakes a lot, I don't think that that matters. I make a lot of sourdough bread. Granted, this is a yeasted bread, but I'm taking my chances. I do need to melt 2 tablespoons of butter, which should be interesting because it's like always something that I am not the best at. So this is about 2 tablespoons here. And since it's already room temperature, I might just microwave it for 15 seconds. This is that 1.5 cups of milk. that we're just gonna put in the bowl here. Fun fact, this is gonna be my first yeasted bread of any kind. If I mess it up, you guys will be the first ones to know. I have my room temperature butter going. I need 2 tablespoons of honey. I get my honey from a local guy, and it's actually so much fun. He does this, I think, as his side hustle, and he was telling me that there's no such thing as organic beeswax. So if you're paying extra for organic beeswax, you're being scammed because you can't control where the bees pollinate. Basically, if the bees were overexposed to pesticides, they would die or not be healthy. So if the bees are doing good, you can kind of assume that the beeswax would be low in pesticides. So there you go, because I know some crunchy women watch. And if that's you, girl, and you're paying extra for your beeswax, you do not have to. All right, I just lost my spoon. Stay. Okay, that's not gonna happen. 15 seconds seemed to be correct with the butter. Let me get my mini rubber spatula to scrape this out. This recipe is saying that I have to use a stand mixer with a dough hook, and mine does not work right now. So I'm just gonna mix it by hand for 4 to 5 minutes. I have my active dry yeast that I'm supposed to put with the milk, water, butter, and honey. I'm supposed to let all of this sit for 10 minutes. While that's happening, I'm gonna start seasoning the chicken for the fajitas, as well as slicing the chicken, but I'm gonna do it somewhere else, kind of away from my bread situation. For the chicken for the fajitas, I have a seasoning here, and this is gonna be doubled. So it's 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon black pepper, and 1 teaspoon cumin. And the reason why I doubled it is because my friend wants me to cook all the chicken instead of just the chicken for the recipe, which would have been like half the package. So we're gonna go through and slice and season. So we have the seasoning here, but we have to add juice from 1 whole lime because the recipe is doubled, and then we need to add olive oil, and that's gonna be the 3 tablespoons. That would be considered doubled for what we're doing for this recipe when it comes to seasoning the chicken double, because I'm not doing double with anything else. Like the peppers are gonna be a little bit over than what the recipe calls for. I mean, that's fine, but it's not gonna be exactly double. I'm just doubling the chicken. That way my friend has more cooked protein accessible. We're gonna do our 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Here is the juice from this lemon. We're gonna put our seasoning in here. We're gonna use this to cut the peppers later, and it's not gonna matter because the peppers and the onion and all that, they're gonna get cooked. All right, now we're gonna start seasoning this chicken. Okay, so this is seasoned, and we're gonna head back over to the yeasted rolls. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start incorporating 1.5 cups of flour. I don't know why I said 1.5 cups. I meant that I'm gonna put in 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So right now we're at 2.5. I am not normally this careful and methodical about my dough, but I've never done anything yeasted before. So I'm taking my time with it. I think we're getting to a point where I'm gonna have to start using my hands to mix it. I do need a teaspoon of salt still, so I will sprinkle that in there. I'm actually really fine mixing things with my hands. I realize a lot of people are not into that these days, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Also, I just think hands are Mother Nature's mixers. This is my opinion, but also maybe I've been making sourdough too long. Maybe most people find this uncivilized. I do not know. Let me know in the comment section down below. I can appreciate that, like, I'm gonna lose some dough by doing this by hand. Right now, I'm just looking for any imperfections in my dough. I don't think there are any, but I get a little bit paranoid because I have long hair, and then, you know, I have animals and kids. So I just get stressed, but I don't think it's gonna be a problem at all. Almost fully incorporated here with the 3.5 cups of flour. It says I could add more flour, but I think this is the right moisture level. This is about where I'm getting ready to end. Oh, this is great. This is very exciting. Okay, I'm gonna grease a bowl to put this into. Okay, we are supposed to let this rise for 15 minutes. I have a bread proofing box that I'm gonna try to get together for that bread to proof in. I'm gonna see if it makes a difference. Maybe it speeds it up, I don't know. This is an electric bread proofing box that my mom got me for my birthday, so we're gonna put this in there. Okay, we're gonna get started on these fajitas. While this is warming up, I'm gonna start slicing the onions and the peppers. Okay, we have to check on the bread that's in this bread proofing box. I think it rose considerably, but I'm supposed to let it rise some more. It says for me to punch the dough down. Am I crazy? Is this punchable? This doesn't seem, I'm gonna punch it. All right, I don't think this is gonna go how I thought it would go. We will see. Now it says to cover it with a damp towel and let it rise for 20 to 30 minutes. So I covered it with a damp towel, and I'm gonna set a timer for 30 minutes. I'm gonna see what happens. It's possible that the milk and water was too hot. I don't really know, because I've never done anything yeasted in my life. If that's the case, we'll do it again, and I will try to use like the thermometer to check the temperature of the milk and the water. Back to the fajitas. Okay, actually what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to take that dough and break it up into 12 pieces. I still have time for that, so I'm gonna do that. Then I'm supposed to take those pieces and put them in a towel and let them proof for the 20 to 30 minutes. I didn't understand that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I have to make 12 pieces out of this. Let's do it. This is 4, 6, 8, 10, 12? Am I crazy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody help me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I'm supposed to have 12 pieces. So if I'm supposed to have 12 pieces, right, each side is supposed to be 6. I'll take some of these ends, and then so that'll make like 5. I'll take the ends here, and this will make 5. So we'll get like 10 rolls instead of 12, which is probably fine anyway. With this particular recipe, I wasn't gonna put it in a 13 by 9 anyway. I'm supposed to put it in these 8 by 8s. So I think like, we'll see if it turns out terrible. Okay, so I did 5 here. The fajita chicken smells amazing though. This is what I ended up doing with them. We're gonna see how it goes. There's one in here that like, I'm not really a fan. So we'll switch that one up. We're gonna put it into the bread proofing box. Let me show you guys what the inside looks like. I'm hoping everything turns out okay. We're gonna find out together. While the fajitas are cooking, we're gonna take the Philly cheesesteak steaks out of the freezer so we can slice them. The fajita chicken is almost done for sure. I am having a bite of the fajita chicken to see what it's like. And I think it's amazing, actually. You guys might hear some noises in the background. My toddler is showing signs of life. So, and I'm not gonna kick them out of my house for a YouTube video. We will just have to enjoy the sweet musings of my child. Now, I let this rise. It seems like it turned out pretty okay. They're not, I gotta learn how to do math. We'll see how these bake up. Like, it might be that the way that it's shaped is not gonna matter once they're baked. That happens sometimes with, you know, bread. We'll find out. If it sucks really bad, I'll just make my friend some rolls and bring them to church for her. That way I can feel peace in my soul. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna beat an egg, and then I'm gonna brush the top with some egg wash. Listen, I don't even think I know how to egg wash. I've never egg washed anything in my life. I do sourdough mostly. People think sourdough is hard. I disagree. I think sourdough is the best kind of bread for a lazy chef to make. I am not even kidding. If you think sourdough is hard, you're overcomplicating it for sure. I auto lice and then I'll do stretch and folds throughout the day. But as long as I get most of my stretch and folds done within like the first 2 hours, it turns out fine. I might be making my friend some other rolls, I'm telling you. The Lord was not with me on these.
Hi, Mom.
It's super hot, yep, very hot.
Hi, Mom.
Okay. Let's see what happens. The fajita situation is excellent. The roll situation, but we're gonna roll with it, no pun intended. And if it sucks, I'll just make another batch for my friend. That's probably what I'm gonna end up doing anyway. And I think I want to figure out how to make good rolls. I really like making bread and I hate making bad bread. It's gonna be my weekend experiment, but they might bake fine. So I set the timer for 15 minutes. And then I'm gonna work on these Philly cheesesteaks. After that, it's gonna be a cleanup and packing. We are in the home stretch. I didn't like how these rolls turned out, so I'm gonna make some new rolls. I have my oven preheated to 400. They did actually turn out good. Let me show you. I was not expecting this to happen. I thought they would be like terrible and awful. However, they are mid, they're not great. So I don't want to serve my pregnant friend some mid buns. So let's do some new ones. I have the bread proofing box here. That should help the situation out quite a bit. And then we'll be done. And then I can do a nice little thumbnail picture for you guys. I want to show you guys the cheesesteak veggies so you can see what's going on over there. So the way that this recipe works is you're going to cook the veggies, remove the veggies, leave behind the juice, throw in the sliced steak, season the sliced steak as it's cooking in those juices, finish that batch, put that batch with the cooked vegetables, and then do the other half of the steak batch as well. And these are the seasonings that I have. I did half a teaspoon of garlic powder and half a teaspoon of pepper. Here is a rotisserie chicken kind of seasoning that I made myself. I have this over on my blog. I will link it in the description down below for you guys, but it's the replacement that I'm using for Lawry's seasoned salt. Also, I really enjoy this one. Let me show you. I have just the right amount for this recipe. While these things are going on, I'm gonna get my supplies to start storing some of these other soups and other items for my friend in gallon bags so they can be thin and a low profile for her freezer. The cheesesteak veggies have browned, so I removed them, and then I'm gonna work on the first half of that steak. I thought I was gonna do half the steak. I think I'm gonna do all the steak. The skillet is pretty big, which I was not expecting. Okay, let's knead this dough by hand. We are gonna let that develop for 15 minutes. It's behaving a lot different than the last time, so maybe I did something better. I don't know. And then I'm gonna get back to these Philly cheesesteak beef slices. I turned the heat off on the cheese steak. Is that what I want to call it? I don't even, why is it called the cheese steak? I turned the heat off on the steak because I think the cast iron is going to keep cooking it, especially with the burner still being hot because this is a glass cooktop stove, so it takes a while to cool down. I'm just going to take it off the burner. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm putting away the vegetables in a gallon freezer bag because I think they've cooled down enough for me to do that. So when you do things like this, you want it to be thin so that it stores with less space in their freezer. Some people have a lot of space, some people have a little bit of space, but it's very popular for women to try to store things in these gallon bags as thin as possible. The steak is done, so I'm just gonna take it out of the cast iron so it can cool down, and I'm gonna leave these juices behind. Actually, I'm gonna transfer all of that over with a colander. I don't know what the difference is between a strainer and a colander. I have no earthly idea. This is what that steak looks like. It's hot, but I'm gonna try a piece. What do I think? This is good. This is an above average neutral steak, it seems like to me. So I think on a hoagie bun with provolone and butter, I think it would be excellent. But on its own, I don't think it can be the main event, you know? That's not to say that it's not delicious, it's just not pow. Actually, I have to tell you guys something. I changed my mind on the Philly cheesesteak. I actually think it's really good. I am just not a lean meat kind of person, and some of the fat was trimmed off, but I just had a piece with a little bit of fat on it. It was fire to die for. This is what we're working with. It's a lot better than last time. I think the timer went off while I was away. This is very punchable. It says I'm supposed to punch the dough down. I don't know what that means, but fine. That was a nice thud. Okay, so I think this time I can actually break this up into 12 pieces. That's where I messed up last time. I can't count to 12. 12. And that means I have to cut it in half and make 6 pieces. I'm just gonna score it really quick because I know I'm terrible with this kind of thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we'll make one of the. We'll take some from here and here. I think we'll be okay, maybe. Also, this time I greased this pan. So we'll do 6 and then 6. And I think it'll turn out okay. I don't really know, but I'm confident. These are gonna go back into the bread proofing box with a wet towel on top. Okay, this is what we're working with after 30 minutes. This is certainly doubled in size in my opinion. I'm gonna do an egg wash and we're gonna pop them in the oven for, I believe, 17 minutes is enough time with my particular oven with the convection bake button on there. This time I tried something different and I greased the bottom of the pans. I don't know if it's gonna make a difference. I'm hoping it does because my first round, they were sticking to the bottom of the pan and I don't think that would be convenient for my friend. Okay, we got the job done. We did 12 different recipes. I am so sad that none of these are for me and I don't want to steal any from my friend because I feel like she has done the really hard work of being a homemaker and having lots of little children. So I want to make sure that she is fully nourished this time around. But I did learn some new recipes that I'm excited to keep in my house, which is kind of half the reason why I do these things for friends, because I want to know what all is out there that I want to incorporate into my family's weekly menu. I think the chicken fajitas were a hit. I think the Italian meatballs were a hit. The sausage and cheese breakfast sandwiches were great. I want some of those for the next time I'm postpartum. I think they would be awesome. Obviously, I'm a bacon, egg, McMuffin fan, so that's never gonna change. And I did like the cheesesteak. I would say that I liked the bell pepper soup, but I'm kind of iffy on it. I don't think I'm a bell pepper person, but I think that if you are a bell pepper person, I think you're gonna love it and I think you should make it. It's just like not my preferred vegetable. This was my first time making yeasted bread. It turned out good. I learned some lessons along the way. I will say, I think this one looks a little bit more like garlic knots. That's a wrap. I'm gonna see if I can find someone else who is pregnant to cook for, or maybe there's somebody in my community who is gonna have a surgery. Like, I really don't know, but I'm excited. Or maybe I'll have the good fortune to do a whole batch cooking 2-day session for my own family and pick out our favorites. And then you guys can learn a little bit about us through that. Which I think if we did that, there would definitely be some sort of mac and cheese. Can't live without it. Alrighty, well, I will see you guys in the next video.